All right, good morning, everyone, and happy Sunday. Welcome to the channel, Shelly's Millions. Today is my birthday. Sean is joking that it is my 21st birthday, and of course, it's not. It is my 48th birthday. Happy 4th of July, everyone. An interesting observation in my neighborhood from this past 4th of July. Like, normally, we have, like, this removable pool that we put up, like a kiddie pool. It's, like, a couple feet deep. You can't really swim in it, but, like, you can get in, right? And you can like, it's the length of your body. You can't do a whole stroke, otherwise, like, you would bump your knee or your elbow on the bottom of the pool, something like that. But normally after 4th of July, the thing is filthy. It has little pieces of fireworks in it. The cars are covered in ash. The streets have a ton of fireworks. I recently installed a Ring doorbell. The fireworks were still going off, but it wasn't nearly as bad this year. And my friend and I, we were wondering if it's maybe because of all the ice activity here in Los Angeles. I wonder if people were just extra careful because the fireworks that normally go off in my neighborhood, guys, they're definitely illegal fireworks. And so maybe people who had access to that just were not trying to draw attention to themselves this year. And I just wonder if that's a thing. I don't know. I'm just speculating that there could be a correlation as to why there weren't as many illegal fireworks in my neighborhood this year as there were in previous years. Like, it was significantly less, or it could just be inflation and budget issues. People may not have the disposable income to spend on something fun like fireworks. Um, I'm a big proponent of not doing anything that's that's illegal. Um, so I wouldn't encourage anybody to, like, use fireworks that, are not approved for your area. I think especially in my neighborhood, something that I worry about every year is that my house could accidentally catch on fire. There's a lot of, like, dry brush. Well, not, like, a lot of dry brush because I live in the city, but, like, there's definitely, like, trees that the city is not taking care of, that they're dried out in the area. One of them touches my roof. So if that tree goes up, my roof is going up. So, I'm okay with the no fireworks. But it's my birthday. I do plan on going and getting as many, maybe not as many, because I don't really like the sweet stuff. So I am going to get some select birthday freebies, I think. I want to do the Einstein breakfast bagel, except I'm not sure if they'll still be serving breakfast. I think Einstein's Bagels does bagels till 2 in the afternoon. So I'm gonna try and get my breakfast bagel for free. I wanna go to Starbucks and get my free coffee. I would like to get there's this place called Nothing Bunt Cakes, and I did sign up for them. I would like to try and do that. I would like to try and get, like, a food item. I The one that we didn't talk about last week was PF Chang's, and I was supposed to check Firehouse Subs and see if they still were doing something for free. And I already got my Sephora gift, but I might wanna get my Ulta beauty gift. That one does not have to be done the day of your birthday, though, so that one can wait. Okay, now I wanna talk a little bit about Trump's big, beautiful bill. It passed. It literally does not affect me at all, me personally, right? But it will affect and impact a lot of people that I know and that I work with. So, the big one is the no tax on tips. I'm and that should be a good thing because it's no tax on your credit card tips and no tax on your cash tips either. Um, the cash tips everybody kind of knew, but the credit card tips, that's pretty big. That's pretty significant. Like, I know at my company, we have a bar at our movie theater, and the bartenders, people in the service industry, they're supposed to report every dollar. And again, I just said it at the beginning of this, I'm not in favor of doing anything illegal, right? Which means that I do encourage my employees. tell my employees that they're supposed to report every dollar that they make. And this was a huge kind of issue when the PUA stuff came up surrounding unemployment. If you don't report what you make, your earnings might not be as high for computing things like unemployment benefits, right? So let's say that if I made $50 a night in tips and I work 5 shifts a week, that's $250, which is $1,000 a month. It's not quite this bad, but, like, let's say that your tax rate winds up being about 24%. It probably won't be that much for tipped workers, but if this is the old system, right? If I'm reporting $1,000 a month in tips, let's say I take those tips home in cash, then they're taking the tax amount out of my check. So then out of my hours worked, they're reducing the amount by, let's just go 25%. That's not a tax rate really, but that's easy to compute off 1,000. That would be $250, 1/4 of their paycheck that they're taking in taxes. And because of that, right now, everybody knows that they should. And in the long run, is it going to be better to report that you made $1,000 more a month? Absolutely, because that will in turn affect your Social Security income as you get older, right? How much you've earned determines how much you're paid out at Social Security through your lifetime of work history credits. So you want that number to be higher. And that's one of the big reasons I know that Jenny Silver always encouraged people to report their actual earnings, their actual income. But here's the problem, right? And this is so while I encourage everybody to report every dollar, even before this passed, I understand why people wouldn't have done it. And the reason why they wouldn't have done it is because it's self-reporting usually, right? How much you got in cash tips. If you do that, you know that your check's gonna be $250 less. And our and it's not even like, do you wanna make $250 less? It's like, can you afford to, especially in a city like Los Angeles? And the deal is if people accurately report their tips and then they're taxed on that amount, they're probably not going to be able to make ends meet. So that's why people didn't do it. Like the $250 in taxes that you should have been reporting and had deducted from your check, if you did that, it might mean that you can't afford groceries for the month. $250 is a lot of money. It goes pretty far, you know? So that is a reason why someone potentially wouldn't report it. Like otherwise is that it's not like, oh, F the government. I've never heard anybody say that. I've heard people say, if I report all my tips, I'm not going to be able to make ends meet because they're going to take too much away from taxes. Oh, I'll report it at the end of the year. I'll report it during a paycheck where I have, where I've worked more hours. So I get it. I get why people would not do that. And we eliminated that. But I do want to check one thing because, okay, so and it's also possible that people were not reporting any of their cash tips. So again, let's say that I'm making $250 a week in tips. There's roughly 4 weeks in each month. So that's roughly $1,000 every paycheck or every month. So that's $12,000 extra every year. I want to see if that is going to count towards someone's adjusted gross income or if it won't count at all. Like, is that going to bump me into a higher overall tax bracket or not? So let's see if we can figure that part of this bill out. And if somebody knows the answer already, please feel free to go ahead and just drop that in chat. Additionally, with Trump's big, beautiful bill, the other way that people are really gonna benefit, people that I know, people that I work with will benefit, is the no tax on overtime. Here in California, you get overtime anytime you work over 8 hours in a day, but, like, let's say that you're scheduled for 8.5 hours. Here in California, you're supposed to get a 30-minute break, so you're off the clock for 30 minutes, so 8.5 hours would not cause you to get overtime. But if you go over the 8 hours after your 30-minute break is deducted, then that's when the overtime kicks in, even if you have not worked more than 40 hours in the week. Here in California, if you go over 8 hours in the day, that is time and a half. If you go over 12 hours in a day, that's when you hit double time here in California. In addition to that, California also has the rule where you get time and a half if you go over 40 hours in the week. So let's say you work 4 12-hour days and you're already at 48 hours, all of that 8 hours is time and a half. You would not be taxed on that overtime, which is great. A lot of times I work in a movie theater. So a lot of times something that will cause my staff to hit overtime is we do film festivals a lot. Film festivals. I don't know if I enunciated that enough. Um, and a lot of times if somebody's doing a film festival, they want the same person there to test the content, we call it, to test the content, the films. They want the same person there early in the morning to test the films, run it through, make sure there's no problems with, because film festivals, it's films that aren't necessarily released yet. They're not picked up by a distributor. They could be student films. They could be rough cuts. They could be a lot of things. So you have to test it because it's more likely that those things would still have issues. So, um, they often want the same person there at 7 a.m. to be the same person that stays there through their last Q&A, which may not be finishing until 10, 11 p.m. at night. So that's one reason why somebody where I work would get overtime. Another reason is, um, let's say that let's say you work the morning shift, you opened at the movie theater, and then someone comes out at night, and we try and find coverage from an employee where it wouldn't cause time and a half, but nobody wants to pick up the shift. Nobody wants to come in on a Saturday night. So we beg the morning person, please, 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 will you please stay? Please stay. And they say, oh, okay, I'll stay. And now they're getting overtime. Now they won't be taxed on that. So those are two ways that people that I work with will see more money in their paycheck. So that is great. I'm salaried. And I shouldn't make that face. I'm glad I'm salary. I'm salary. I am lucky I'm salary. I'm grateful for my job. I don't get any overtime. So that won't affect me. I also don't get tips, so that won't affect me. And I don't have enough the SALT, the state and local tax deduction, that also won't affect me. My interest rate on my house is so little, it still benefits me to take the standard deduction versus oh, I lied. I'm a big fat liar. There is one thing that's going to affect me and will actually make tax time for me a little bit easier, but I hope that this changes for me. But I'll tell you what that is in just 1 second. So, and I wonder if I want to report it. That's gonna be an interesting choice. I'll tell you what dawned on me that's gonna impact me in 2 seconds. Okay, so it won't affect me about the overtime, won't affect me about, time and a half, but it will make things better for people that I directly work with. And here's the thing about me, guys. You don't know me, probably some of my staff don't know me. I'm in the office a lot. Um, thank you, Richard. It's okay. You just got home. I came on a little late today. I won't tell if you won't. Thank you for wishing me happy birthday. So, what is happening on my screen? Anyway, um, what will affect me positively and will make my taxes so much easier to do is now if you work a 1099 job like YouTube and you don't make more than $600 from it, which I don't. I generally make I'm making, guys, about $50 every other month. So it's either going to be right like last year, I think I made like $653. And that's what I got paid from YouTube. And then I still have like expenses. And so actually, oh, I should do a video on this, but my expenses because of YouTube, I'm actually in the negative. I'm not making anything. Part of it's because I pay for StreamYard. I enjoy using it. I like being able to pop your comments up on the screen, but that is one of like there's just expenses with YouTube. Um, some, right? There don't have to be, and I am going to be looking at cutting that next year, but they increased the limit where you would receive a 1099. They changed that from $600 all the way up to $2,000. So I could now make a full $100 a month from YouTube. What is 2,000 divided by 12? So that is kind of cool. 2,000 divided by 12 equals I could make $166.66666 a month and not have to report it on my taxes. But again, do I not want to report it on my taxes? Because then it's showing my income level that I've made throughout my life is less. So that still might benefit it to report it. That's up to you. Certainly, I'm allowed to take certain deductions as a business because of it. So that would kind of disappear. But if I don't want to mess around with it, if I have it used to be right there. If I had a list everywhere of things that I deduct just for YouTube, I don't have to worry about it anymore because I'm not making over $2,000 a year right now. So that's good for me. Okay. But I do want to see if the taxes are going the no tax on tips, if that's going to affect your adjusted gross income. And the reason why I am concerned about that element of it is because if it pushes you into a higher tax bracket, are you still going to wind up paying taxes on it anyway? So let's see what this article says. I'm reading an article by CBS News, Money Watch, by Mary Cunningham, called "The Big Beautiful Bill Gives Tipped Workers a New Tax Break. Here's what to know." President Trump's promise to eliminate federal income tax on, let me see if I can get this to stop. It's distracting me. Okay. To eliminate federal income tax on worker tips will become a reality Friday when he signs the massive budget package into law. After narrowly squeaking through the House on Thursday, the big, beautiful bill now heads straight to the president's desk for his signature. As part of the legislation, workers who rely on tips for a large share of their income, such as waiters, bartenders, hairdressers, will see relief from federal income tax on those tips. The White House has framed the tax cuts as a win for the working class, but critics, such as the Independent Restaurant Coalition, have pushed back on that notion, saying the benefits for tipped workers would be temporary and that this apparent tax cut wouldn't help most low-wage workers. It wouldn't help them from what I know. It wouldn't help them immediately, but it should help them in the long run. Guys, I am going to take a sip of coffee. If you wouldn't mind, please like the video. How does no tax on tips work? The no tax on tips provision in the spending bill creates a new deduction for tipped workers, eliminating what they owe in federal income tax. Tipped workers still have to pay state and local income tax and payroll taxes. So if you're reporting more, which you should be anyway, if you're reporting all your tips and you weren't previously, that could affect your state, local, and payroll taxes. The House and Senate versions of the tax and spending bill vary on a few key points, including how much a worker could claim in deductions. The state proposed limits the deduction to 25,000, while the House version is uncapped. Under the House measure, meanwhile, only people with an annual income of 160,000 or less would qualify for the tipping tax break, while the Senate version would phase out benefits for individuals whose income exceeds 150,000 or couples whose income exceeds 300,000. Now, so for what I know from the people that are in my life, right? This is how I do best when I can relate it to somebody. I think that's how we all do. I think that's part of why you guys watch me because I'm relatable and I know lots of people that this will affect. I do not know anyone in a tipped position where they are making more than $150,000 single. So I feel like this will benefit everybody. Okay. W says, is it true that Medicaid is going to be cut severely? Very harsh 36-page job work requirements. Huge cuts too. Okay, let me look. Let me look and we'll try and figure that out. Richard says the casino industry is in an uproar over the big beautiful bill. Next year, people will have to pay taxes on losses and wins. They may owe more in taxes than their jackpot. Okay, Richard, we'll comment on this real quick. So, casino workers are generally tipped, and it's possible, depending, they could potentially get, you know, lots of money in tips, depending on, Hi, Cindy. Thank you so much for wishing me happy birthday. So, with the casino winnings, I remember it used to be that if you could, sorry, make a sentence, Shelley. You could win up to $1,199 and not report it on your taxes. So that's why when my mom and I go play bingo, sometimes the jackpot is more than $1,199 and she never wants to win it if it's more than that because it's supposed to be taxed. I think the venue where you win is supposed to give you like the 1099 right away. And I think they're supposed to ask, like, do you want the taxes taken out of it right now, or do you want to wait till the end of the year? And another fun story is, I think back in 2014, I won like $5,000 playing bingo, but at a casino. So they issued me the 1099, and I can't remember if they did it right then, or if they gave me, or if it was an option or what. But guys, you know me, I was like, give me all the money. I put the money in like a high yield savings account. I also used the winning. I didn't really buy anything. I just put it in my 401k, which, lowered my tax liability. So get taxed on the winnings, put it in the 401k. So then I'm not taxed on it. It like kind of canceled each other out. But that is what I did with it. Okay. Got it. How much 2K is left after taxes in California? All right, that depends on, anyway, so I had to pay taxes on it, but I did some things to offset that winning. So I always thought that if you won more than $11.99, that you were supposed to pay taxes on it anyway. Additionally, there used to be, this was back in 2014, so maybe things changed in the interim and maybe they're going back. So we'll have to look at that. But you were supposed to ask for, it's called a win-loss statement, right? So I won that $5,000 and then I was like, even if it was $10 that I lost, I called every casino, and they can only do this, I think, if you have like a players club number or whatever. But I think that year my mom and I had gone to Vegas, so I lost like $10 in, I don't know. I lost $10 here and there, like at Caesar's Palace or MGM. And I would have to double check that because those are in like Nevada, not in California. But like, I definitely I'm researching every possible legal way to offset that money so that I wasn't hit with a big tax liability. Okay, now, oops. Cindy is asking, how much is left of 2K? Oh my goodness. I let the ink set too long in this. How much is left on 2K after, sorry, I feel weird doing this. Oh, it's not going to work. Is it going to work? My goodness, maybe not. Maybe we're going to have to give up on the whiteboard for today and I'll clean it before next time. Okay. It depends on your final tax rate, right? So $2,000, I'm probably at about a 12% tax rate after all my deductions. So times 0.12. So that means that they would take $240 out. That is in federal taxes. Not in state taxes as well. I generally do it, and I feel like I'm at like about with everything. I see about at 24% less, but anyway, just on state, it would be 2000 minus 240, which would be 1,760. But wait, there's more. But then you're going to take the 2,000 times 0.15 for California state tax. That lowers it by 300. So 300 and plus 240 is 540. So 2,000 minus 540, 1,460 is what I'm getting. But it depends because let's just say that you made $2,000 only up to let's say that you made $12,000, right? Right now I think the standard deduction is higher than that. So this just taking the standard deduction alone would bring you down to like a $0 liability, and then you wouldn't be taxed at all on that, right? So you're taxed on, and this is what people don't get a lot of the times. You're taxed on, there's what you make, then minus your standard deduction, then kind of minus like medical expenses, like if you have your medical insurance payment, you're not taxed on that amount. Then there's if you contribute in a 401k, you're not taxed on that amount. So it really depends on what your total earnings are, and there's ways to offset the amount you're earning. Okay. Joel says it appears that Medicaid will be cut even for those who do qualify for the 80 hours per month requirements. The reason why because the paperwork will be extremely difficult. That is so bad. Okay, oops. Richard says, my understanding is Medicaid cuts will affect people 65 or younger. I'm 66. Yeah, I don't think that it's going to affect people who are seniors. Okay, Andrew says 65 and older. Andrew says the severe cotton Medicaid actually cripples the program for those who will even meet the requirements to be on it. Bad all around. ACA, aka Obamacare, is dead. And I gotta talk to my old coworker. Okay. Oops. Okay. I'm gonna read some of these comments, I think. Okay. So Laura V. Man says, get illegals off Medicaid and welfare. Able-bodied need to work. Let the illegals come in legally. I'm going to give you a situation where I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that I have an able-bodied friend getting Obamacare. And I will tell you why. Could you repeat the $2,000 rule? Okay. So on like independent contractor work, like YouTube businesses that are issuing you a 1099, right? Or if you're an employer and you are issuing people a 1099, you used to need to report it if it was $600 or more. Now you only need to report it if it's $2,000 or more. So if I choose not to deal with the rigmarole of like YouTube will not need to issue me. I make about $50 a month on YouTube. So I need to report that if I made more than 600. And last year, I think I made $653. So they had to send me a 1099. This year, I'm gonna make about the same amount. I make just over $600 a year from YouTube, but they will not need to send me a 1099 because that's not more than $2,000. I can still choose to report it. YouTube just doesn't have to send me the form, and I don't have to report it if I don't want to. And depending on everybody, the thing is about taxes is everybody's situation is different. Some people want to report it, some people don't want to report it. I can claim, if I claim the business and I choose to report the income, then that allows me to offset other things. Like, I think I'm paying like something like $400 for StreamYard. I pay $150. So I can still itemize on the business side of things and not count some of the losses if I want to. Okay. Now, so um this is just an example, and I'm not saying this is right or I'm saying that this is wrong. First of all, and I also want to say that my friend is 100% born here in the United States. He's American. He's not illegal, never has been illegal, right? I do have a friend who was illegal, and now they have gone through the process to become legal, so they're good now too. But here's the situation why my able-bodied friend is collecting Obamacare. And that reason is he is caring for his mother who is very ill. He doesn't do it full time. Like, he still comes home. He saved a lot of money, but not enough money to cover his own health insurance. Um, he travels back and forth to Alabama to go take care of his mom. About once a month, she has a lot of doctor's appointments. So he'll maybe be 3 weeks here, and then he'll be 2 weeks or sometimes 3 weeks there, it just depends. And it is a lot of doctor's appointments, but he's not in that 3-week period when he's there, it's a lot, and he's caring for her full time. But then he comes back because, and guys, caretakers do need breaks, right? So I get that, not faulting him for that. Could he work? Yes. But what job, and sometimes the appointments are more important than others. Sometimes the workers, when he's not there with his mom, sometimes those caretakers are calling him and asking him questions. And I'm sorry, but like, what job is going to allow you to work three weeks, then take 3 weeks off, work 3 weeks, then take 3 weeks off? Not really any that I can think of. Um, I wouldn't even we wouldn't even be able to accommodate that for our minimum wage workers. This is someone that I know from working with them. I've worked with them a long time. They were at the managerial level. We couldn't afford this is unfortunately, or maybe it's fortunate, I don't know, but it's unfortunate. He's been dealing with this for like probably honestly since the pandemic. He's very fortunate that he lives a frugal life, that he saved up money and that he's able to do that. And there have been times I was like, don't you just want to like move there and stay there? Aren't you tired of coming back and forth? And he's like, Shelly, I gotta get away. I cannot be there like the whole time. And I get that 100%. But is he able-bodied? Yes. Could he work? Yes. And he's a great employee, right? He's a great manager, a great person. Any company would be lucky to have him. But also, it's really when you have like a friend or a family member who's not healthy. I had a friend in the hospital this past week, and it was pretty serious. They had sepsis. Um, it's getting better now, and prognosis is good now. But I was worried the week leading up to it. How do I get him to go to the hospital? How do I get it? And I was like, and then when they were in the hospital, like, oh my God, I hope they're okay. And like, I'm going to need to leave work to go pick them up if they need me to. Like, I just feel like I was not mentally there. Oh, hi. Thanks, Rocky. Today's my birthday. We're talking about the big, beautiful bill. We're talking about Medicaid. Right now, I'm talking about my able bodied friend who's not working, and so they are using Obamacare. And they have health issues, and I want them to be healthy, and I also want them to be able to take care of their mom. So I'm just saying that's one example where I'm not sure like how that plays out, you know? Is that something that and, you know, there's part of me that's jealous because, I have not even though, like, I'm technically a millionaire now in net worth, I would not be able to take off and fly back and forth for work, you know, I think that his family's able to, like, help him, but again, health insurance here in America is so expensive, I don't think he would be able to I don't know what he's gonna do now, right? Okay. Ben says, if this bill is going to hurt so many Americans, if the Democrats win the 2028 presidential election and gain both chambers of Congress, they could just reverse everything. Yeah, but I mean, it depends. I do think once the wheel's in motion, it's harder to stop it and turn it back. So we'll have to see. Ben also says, from my understanding, Medicaid in California measures your income level per month. So that's being thrown out the window now, I guess. And it's work requirements that are going to be the new law. All right, let's change about the Medicaid. I do still want to skim the big beautiful bill really quickly. I just want to try and see because this says it's not going back to the tips real quick. This is saying that it's not going to affect the many low wage workers. Um, this also says that these tax cuts would only extend through 2028. So that's 3 years. And so Congress could restrict or even abolish the tax break in the future. And that happens all the time. I'm thinking maybe that's what happens with the casino income. Who benefits? A May report from the White House's Council of Economic Advisors estimates that eliminating taxes on tips would increase their average take-home pay by $1,675 a year. That is not very much. Okay, so let's say you get 26 checks a year. So stupid. Okay. 1,675 divided by 26. That's every other week. Ooh, $64 a check. I'm sorry, I'm just not excited by $64 a check. Okay. Aw. No, Sean, so busy and so tired. Thank you, though. Okay, Cindy, you look at this YouTube channel to get information about Social Security disability benefits and SSI and SSDI. The fraud they are finding in Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid is massive. Absolutely, right? And I'm not speaking from any news articles right at the moment, but there 100% are people that scam the system, and it's really sad. Like, okay, and I'm not saying this, but my friend who's taking care of their parents or their mom, he's not claiming that he's disabled, but people do. And there are people that don't want to work that are just they really exaggerate. A guy, you know, though, some days this is so messed up. I've been so tired lately, just personally. I would never do this, guys, but like I feel like a lot of times I feel like I'm not in it. I don't feel like working a lot of times. I have worked every day, not every day, but like I have worked consistently from the time I was 18, and even during the pandemic when other people didn't work, what did I do? I was like, "Oh, let me do this YouTube channel and, like, post videos daily." And I loved doing that. I loved helping everybody. I am tired. I am tired. Tired, guys. It's my birthday, and I'm like, "How do you feel tired?" Tired, right? And I think I explained this, like, I'm in retail, essentially, right? Meaning I work a job where I am responsible for going to work and opening the store. I am responsible for closing the store. Someone has to be there to open the doors for the staff, to let them in so that they can go to work. Somebody has to be there to make sure that the customers can get in. Like if I'm sick and I don't find someone to cover my shift, the other people literally can't even get in the building to do their jobs or to let customers in. It's a small team, so I don't often have coverage. As a matter of fact, My poor boss last night. I'm just saying I'm tired. Like, I get it. I get not wanting to work. Does that mean I'm not gonna work? No. But, like, I certainly can sympathize with people not wanting to work. I don't think anybody should lie in order to not work. Also in the retail industry, I did the calculations. I never use my sick days, ever, ever. I'm going to use them for the first time this year because, I'm having hand surgery. So I will use my sick days for the first time ever. But, like, even when I'm sick, I almost always make it up. So here in California, I get 56 6-hour sick hours a year divided by 8. So that'd be 7 days a year. Um times 30, 210 sick days that I've just never used. And people in office like, I'm sorry, I feel like people in office jobs are like, "Okay, well, I had a friend." This is the same thing to me. She'd be like, "I have a doctor's appointment." She did not have a doctor's appointment. She was going to get her hair done. But you can redeem sick pay in 2-hour increments? I can't leave 2 hours early. If I'm closing the theater also, there's no, like, hair appointments open, like and people know, like, there's not gonna be like a it's not gonna be a doctor's appointment at 8 p.m. Anyway, I get it. People are tired. They're tired. Many people are working like 2, 3 jobs. They are tired. Many people can't find jobs and or can't find jobs that would pay the bills. People are how I'm tired. Maybe I'm just, like, projecting. I am tired. Okay. I'm not sure if I've mentioned that I'm a little tired. Something needs to change, like, people shouldn't be that exhausted, I think, in their day-to-day lives, and I think that's why people do it. I don't know why people do it. Why people tell tall tales. Okay. Joel says there's some Uber drivers that only do Uber part-time, and they would clearly fall under the 80 hours per month work requirement. I guess they have to drive more or just get another job. I also think, guys, and this might be a way to get it done, I think you can volunteer. I think you're allowed to volunteer. So maybe this will be good. Like, maybe people will volunteer at a homeless shelter or at an animal shelter or, um, help picking up trash on the side of the freeway, or you can be like a volunteer firefighter. Maybe this will helps. I hope that it helps some people, and I'm sure that if you literally physically cannot work, they're not gonna be able to make you. So hopefully this will just help weed out people that are being fraudulent with it. And I'm sorry, even my friend, maybe he needs to, like, work when he's home. Maybe he shouldn't get free healthcare. Like, I love that he's taking care of his mom, but, like, maybe that's a choice. So I don't know. I don't know. Okay, Cindy says the fraud goes deeper than that. You have to watch some of his videos. The fraud is from government employees, customers, and organized crime. And there's a lot of people being arrested. That's interesting. We'll look at that. Cindy, I have what's the name of the channel? Can you spell it out? I think I have links blocked in my comments. In your 20s, you were working 2 jobs. Get some rest and celebrate any place. I might just rest. I might just rest. But no, I wanna get all the so, I do wanna look at the cuts in Medicaid, the requirements. I would like to look at the casino win-loss statements, rule, and no, I don't really have any plans for my birthday. I would like to try and get the freebies, and I kinda wanna make a video, but I don't know. Um, I always say that, but I don't know if I'm actually gonna make it. So we will see, and then, yeah, just relax. I might catch up on the 3rd season of White Lotus, I'm not sure. Okay. Joel says, "Oh, yeah, that's true. There's something in the bill that says you have to volunteer for community service or something like that, and that counts." Yeah. And that could really be good, right? Because I think places are short on volunteers. Richard says, "I tried volunteers, but the volunteers there wouldn't let me do anything. They viewed me as competition." I've heard that before, both at Salvation Army and it's funny because my mom's a senior now, and she talks about things being very cliquey, right? She goes to a senior center, and, like, I'm sure you can volunteer to help serve the meals, and you to do that, you need to go through the little certification to make sure that you are serving food safely. Um, okay, interesting. Alright. You guys have a lot of comments. I should have came on late today. That's my fault. Okay, Cindy says, doing your main job, caring for your house, helping your mother, and a little social life. I don't know where there's time for a second job. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy. All right. Rocky says yes to free birthday stuff. And Richard says, oops, Salvation Army is where I volunteer. Yeah, people are clicky. And it's like, this is my area. Don't touch my area. No, I know what I'm doing. You don't. Like, it's like I'm volunteering. I'm here to help. And once, like, there's all sorts of interesting volunteer opportunities. So, for example, marathon, when there's a marathon in your city, they have volunteers to hand out the water. But like some stations are more popular than others. And there's also people just like making sure that like, volunteering to help with traffic, during a marathon. So I think that that counts. Work or volunteering counts, and every administration has increased the debt. Yeah, you know what? Like, what's the point at this point? Like, they're just gonna keep raising the debt ceiling, and yeah, I'm not sure that that's good, but I'm not sure at this point, like, I feel like that's a runaway train, right? I don't know how we're gonna stop that. Okay. Let's see. New Medicaid requirements. New Medicaid work requirements. June 25th. Okay. We're going to use this CNBC article. Let me make sure I'm sharing. Yeah. And I just really feel like that's a runaway train. And I understand that too. Like, things cost money. People need, like, do we want the fire department? Do we want the police? Do we want no potholes in roads? Like, do we want to keep the country safe? Like, ugh, too many people want free stuff. I'm curious. What do you think though about the friend that um you think he needs to get his behind to work? I mean, he's taking care of his really sick mom, but not all the time. So could he do 80 hours a month? That's 20 hours a week approximately. Could he do that? Oh, dang it. All right. So I don't want all access. Okay. So Congress's big beautiful bill proposes new Medicaid work requirements. Here's what to know. This is from June 25th, and it's from Lori Konish. New Medicaid work requirements proposed in Republicans' One Big Beautiful Bill may prompt millions of Americans to lose coverage. Individuals aged 19 to 64 would need to work at least 80 hours per month to be eligible for coverage unless they qualify for certain exemptions. Here's what experts think. I don't want to know what experts think. I just want to know what the requirements are. Okay. The House and Senate versions of the Big Beautiful Bill would impose federal work requirements on Medicaid for the first time. Per the House and Senate proposals, individuals ages 19 to 64 who apply for Medicaid or who are enrolled through Affordable Care Act expansion group would need to work or participate in qualifying activities for 80 hours per month. So it's about 20 hours per week. Adults may be exempt if they have dependent children or have qualifying circumstances, such as medical conditions. However, exemptions don't always work and people could lose coverage anyway. Medicaid work requirements proposed in the bill would cut federal spending by $344 billion over 10 years, representing the legislation's largest source of Medicaid savings. Um, Current law prevents uh, basing Medicaid eligibility on work requirements or work reporting requirements. Many people I do this when I wanna say something, and actually, maybe I just better say it now. If there's a true emergency, aren't doctors required to treat you? So here's what I see happening. If people lose their Affordable Care Act coverage and they are maintaining things. Oh, thank you so much, Rocky. I really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. But you didn't have to do that, but I do greatly appreciate it. That's so sweet. Um, so if you aren't people just going to go use the emergency room, and isn't that going to end up costing us more? Because then people are gonna apply for, like, medical waivers, or they're going to like, they can't deny you treatment, and if you most people are not gonna have the money to pay, like, an emergency bill, so they're either going to just ignore it and not pay it, or they're gonna get, like, a medical waiver. I don't see somebody who really needs care that could have been covered in preventative measures. I don't see people all of a sudden going and like, they're not gonna ignore their medical care. Doctors have to treat you if you're in the emergency room. So isn't this just gonna, like, overwhelm the emergency care system and make it worse and make people less likely to pay those bills? I don't see that that's a good thing. Lots more comments. Thank you, Rocky. Okay. All right, Family Dollar says, "I think a 30-year-old man child living in his mom's basement should not be getting Medicaid, though, not paying anything into the system." Agreed. Agreed. I don't personally know anybody that's like that, though. I don't doubt that that exists. I just saying I personally don't know anybody that does that. Okay. And then I'm also going to say that I have a few employees that work for me, and some weeks they might not be averaging 80 hours a month. Um, and we're not offering them oh god, we're not offering the people health insurance if they work less than 30 hours a week. So 30, 60, 90, 120 hours a month is what somebody would need to qualify for health insurance through the company that you would still pay for. Um, and we do have like a lot of people who are in school or whatever who may not be getting 80 hours a month even at work. That's their choice, like, they're like, "Oh, I can only work this many days." But that's definitely it's tricky. Okay. Family Dollar says, "It almost seems like the way the bill is written that the funding might be cut off completely from it. So even eligible people can be affected, not sure." Cindy says, "I remember people back in the 80s, people who were on welfare could be called to work. I think it was a local program where they mowed lawns or cleaned bathrooms." Oh, that's interesting. Um, and there's like temp agencies, right? As well. So, like my friend who I'm like, what employer would make an accommodation 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off? Maybe not an employer. And maybe there will be some sort of like government temp agency where you could do that. Like maybe you could work 40 hours, 2 weeks. I don't know. I don't quite what are the logistics of this? I do worry it's going to overwhelm the emergency room. That's what I worry about. Okay. Ba, 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 ba. This is true too. Current law prohibits basing Medicaid eligibility on work requirements or work reporting requirements. Many people on Medicaid, if they're able to, are already working, said Robin Rudowitz, director of the program. However, some states may implement work requirements if they receive approval through wage waivers. Georgia is currently the only state with a Medicaid work requirement. Several other states have recently submitted waiver requests to put such requirements in place. So, will this be a choice for each state? Arkansas previously implemented Medicaid work requirements. However, estimates have shown while more people became uninsured because of that policy, they were not meaningful increases in employment. Senate work requirements would include some parents. The Senate's version of the bill introduced a harsher take on the work requirements that would apply to some parents. The Senate calls for limiting parental exemptions to those with children ages 14 and under, rather than all parents of dependent children, as the House proposed. Individuals who apply for Medicaid coverage would need to meet work and other requirements for one or more consecutive months before they apply. Eligibility redeterminations would be conducted at least twice per year to ensure enrollees still meet those requirements. The Senate version proposes capping the look back period for showing compliance with work requirements to 3 months, which on net may be helpful to people. If an individual is denied coverage or disenrolled because they do not meet the Medicaid work requirements, they would be ineligible for subsidized marketplace coverage. The Senate bill also allows for a longer timeline for states to comply with the Medicaid work requirement. The Chamber's bill would give states the ability to ask for a good faith waiver that would give them an additional 2 years to come into compliance with the provision, or until 2028 rather than the end of 2026 in the House's version. Okay, what are the exemptions? What exemptions would allow you to skip work for Medicaid? How about in California, since I'm in California? We're going to use the AI overview, which you guys know may not be accurate. If a work requirement for Medicaid is implemented in California, certain exemptions would be available that would allow you to skip work. These potential exemptions could include physical or mental disability. If you have a verified disability expected to last at least 30 days that significantly impairs your ability to be employed or participate in work activities, and you are actively seeking medical treatment. Caring for dependents, being responsible for the care of a child under the age of 6 or an incapacitated person. So I wonder if that would qualify my friend. Pregnancy. Pregnant women are generally exempt. Medically frail individuals designated as medically frail would be exempt. Parents and caregivers. This includes parents and caregivers of young children. Individuals with mental and physical disabilities. People with these conditions are also listed as potential exemptions. Okay, hold on. Should we look at a Reddit one? Cal Matters. This is a .org. Medicaid work rules could leave a million Californians with no health insurance. Welcome to Cal Matters. If Congress moves forward with a controversial proposal to require people to report work hours to keep Medicaid, more than a million California's poorest residents could lose their health insurance. The budget bill that the U.S. House advanced last week, when was this article written? May 30th. So there have been changes since this article, and they have moved forward. The budget bill that the U.S. House advanced last week includes a requirement that includes certain adults, largely those under 65, without children or disability, meet work reporting rules. In California, about a third of them could lose their health coverage, according to analysis by the research group Urban Institute, based on 2026 enrollment projections. That's between 1.2 and 1.4 million Californians. That's just Californians. As Congress looks at Medicaid for ways to help offset the cost of extending President Donald Trump's 2017 tax cuts, imposing work requirements has increasingly been deemed as one of the most feasible and significant cost-saving actions. The health policy researchers and advocates points to New Hampshire and Arkansas, where the state-imposed work requirements failed in recent years. Their policies didn't actually boost employment. So why are we trying to boost employment through this? They did, however, leave thousands of eligible people without health insurance within a matter of months. Both states have since canceled their work policies. Georgia is the only state that currently has work requirements. Nationwide and in California, about two-thirds of Medicaid enrollees work, according to the health research firm KFF. Another 29% care for children, attend school, or have a disability that would exempt them. But health advocates say the additional red tape to prove employment could be so cumbersome that many eligible people would fall out of the health insurance system. Look, if you really need health insurance, please do the paperwork for it. Like if it's just like, oh, the paperwork is so cumbersome and the red tape to prove employment could be, too difficult. If you don't have health insurance, please, like even if it's difficult, please do it. Okay, those who can't prove they work 80 hours a month or don't have school, caregiving, or disability would not qualify for Medicaid under the House proposal. Percent of Medicaid adults working full-time, part-time in California. And then not working due to caregiving, school, illness, disability, or other reason. Okay, so this will affect a lot of people, but okay, so we're not worried about these first probably two categories, right? So that's actually the majority of Medicaid recipients are not going to be impacted. 8% who are getting it for other reasons might be impacted. Illness or disability. That's that 7%, California, 10% US. Those people are not going to be impacted. School, I haven't seen whether that was impacted yet or not. And 14% and 12% for caregiving. But they already said that caregiving would count as an exemption. I'm not sure about school, so that could be 8% of people in California or 6% in the US, and then this 8% of other. I think those are the people that would be affected. You might say you're combating waste, fraud, and abuse. A senior policy official at the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, a nonprofit, says. But the way you're going to save money by people inadvertently or accidentally losing their coverage. This program saves money through mistakes, and that's not a good way to run social insurance or to run policy. Medi-Cal, the California version of Medicaid, provides health insurance to almost 15 million people. Oh, interesting. Her job sounds cool. Diana Alfaro, Associate Executive Director of Central City Neighborhood Partners, a nonprofit that helps people enroll in public benefits and services, says some of her low-income clients in Los Angeles who rely on Medi-Cal are employed, but not always in typical paying jobs. They are housekeepers, gardeners, construction workers, and others who don't have a regular paycheck or a single employer. Oh, that's interesting. So how would interesting. Okay, let's skip this. Okay, the reason why I say that that's interesting is so like let's say that someone's full job was just YouTube, right? Could you say how would I prove if you're self-employed, how do you prove that you're working 80 hours? So that's another situation where it might get a little bit dicey. Okay, let's see here. Okay. I've downloaded the bill and I'm reading it. So far, I agree with everything in it to date. Okay. I want to do that too. I don't know when I will have time, not on my birthday, but yeah. Okay, when do they start taking people off Medi-Cal? So sad Medi-Cal has helped so many friends and family, even myself when I needed medical emergency and not being able to afford to see a doctor. Yeah, and I think there comes a point though where it's going to get bad enough, people are still going to have to seek the medical attention. It's going to send more people to the emergency room, overcrowd that system, and people are just never going to pay that medical bill. That's what I kind of think is going to happen. I'm not sure. I think that if there's a 30-year-old man living in someone's basement, I don't know this for sure, but this is my perception. If they're really not working and they're doing that, there's probably some mental health issues, whether diagnosed or undiagnosed. And that's the kind of person that's not actually taking care of their physical health most likely, right? They're most likely avoiding responsibility, they're avoiding going to the doctor, they're avoiding making the appointment. Like, I don't how much are those people really using the health insurance that they have? So, like, and I really do think if there's a 30-year-old man living in his parents' basement, there is something probably, whether diagnosed or not, probably some mental issues going on. And I honestly think that even if you're gaming the system to try and get health insurance, like, are you in your right mind if that's what you're like, that if that's the goal in your life? Like, I find that hard to believe, right? As much as I was just like, I'm tired. Guess who's going to work tomorrow? Me. I'm tired, but I'm still going, you know? And I think that most people, you know, we keep going. We keep going. You know, that's what makes humans so amazing is our ability to keep going even when we're tired and we don't want to. And if we can't, I think that maybe there's some undiagnosed mental health issues, which would then just exempt you, you know? And or it's gonna send people to the emergency rooms and overcrowd that system and then leave bills unpaid. That's what I think. I don't know that. I don't have any facts that back that up. That's my personal opinion on that. Okay. Richard says some states already have work requirements. Yeah. And then W says, if some states do have job requirements prior, I wonder if this means that some heavily blue states can just continue the income level based requirements only. Interesting thought. Okay. Okay. Cindy wants to know, she's not from California. Do illegal immigrants get Medicaid? I'm not even sure about your state, but you do know that previous administration was flying them into this state. Oh, that's so weird. You know, I don't actually know. I will speak to the one friend that I had that was here illegally. I'm not sure about people that were considered dreamers, right? Who were under a certain age. They were born in the US, they were brought here illegally by parents, and then kind of were granted like temporary legal status. Um, I don't know about them. I do think that like if you were brought here and you were so little that you had no say in the matter, like we shouldn't be held accountable for the sins of our parents, right? I definitely think that. I also think that, or the mistakes of our parents. I don't want to call it a sin. These parents are trying to find a better life for their kids. They risked it all to bring them here, right? And I sort of also think that that's what America's about. Like, it's about the dream, right? The American dream, getting getting to a country, building something for yourself, becoming successful and like escaping worse circumstances, right? We're the land of opportunity, right? That's what I grew up with, right? Um, my friend was brought here illegally. He would not go to the hospital. He everybody that I and this is what he told me other people were. He's like, "Shelly, these people are not going to the hospital. They are so scared of going to the hospital and being deported. They're not going. Like, they don't wanna get caught. Like, if anything, they're not they're not risking the life that they built here over the sniffles." That's what he told me. He's like, "I can't go to the doctor. I can't." So, I don't think now, maybe if there was an emergency, like, obviously, I do think that the parents that brought their kids here illegally, I do think, like, if they're breaking their arm, I think that they're getting it corrected. Is that coming in the emergency room and then, like, they're not paying the bill? That part, I don't know. But I don't know if they're getting Medicaid. Let's see. I was always taught that hospitals are not allowed to deny a sick person coverage, period. That's what I thought. Um, can you get I also think they make these things seem like there are a lot of undocumented workers here, right? But I think that they came here leg not legitimately, but with the intent of, like, becoming legal. It's a really hard and expensive process. Can you get health insurance if you're an undocumented worker in California? Oh, interesting. Oh, very interesting. Okay. The big, all bills are probably a convoluted mess. Okay, USA Gamer says, my gut was always right about things, but this 2024 election has a lawsuit. I was right with every election, but something went wrong. Interesting. Okay. No tax on overtime means businesses don't have to give you time and nap. Yeah, but they will accidentally. Like I gave a couple examples. Businesses do not want to pay employees overtime from the beginning. Let's just be clear about that. Like if I authorize overtime for my employees, it's like, Shelly, why did you do that? Oh, well, we had somebody else call out at night, and this was the only person that can do that. So if you're in that situation, it's still going to happen. Also, I work at a movie theater. People do film festivals a lot with us. They want the same person who was there in the morning to do the technical run through that sees where all the sound cues and all the light cues. The same person that showed up at 7 a.m. to do that, they want them to be the same person that starts the show at 7 p.m. and is there to the finish and there through the Q&As and doing the mics and the lights and the sound and all of that. So on festival days, there's definitely overtime. You have to go 80. If you're a YouTuber, you would prove that you are working 80 hours by going live for 80 hours. It means you work 20 hours a week minimum, correct. Uh-oh. Sean, you're unsubscribed. I don't think that's true. I see the little arrow, but that's okay. Okay, Cindy says, there are a lot of people out there that are addicted to video games. I know of 2 and they avoid responsibility. They don't have mental issues, but are enabled by family. That's so crazy. Oh my goodness. Call off Shelly and party. But life is like a video game. Some scientists say we may be in a simulation. It's a theory. People are afraid to go places because of being deported. Absolutely. Like people are always like, they're using our resources. No, they're not. Let me tell you what does happen sometimes. So let's say that they've slipped through the system and they have a W-2 job, which does happen. They pay the most amount of taxes, the most. They don't claim any dependents, they don't try and get exemptions. They pay the maximum amount in taxes because they are afraid of also getting audited, right? There are some I've heard stories, about people working, but they're not claiming deductions. So they're paying money into the tax system. It could be like fake social security numbers. I don't quite know that part of it, but they are paying the most in taxes. Whereas if they were like went through the process of becoming a legal citizen, um, they would probably be paying less in taxes because then they're legal and they don't have to worry about like being sent back, right? It's yeah. So, and it's really just one friend that I have, but it's his stories of other people like him. Um, they don't want to use our resources because they are scared and they don't trust the government. They think like, oh, if the government's telling me that it's okay to use this resource, but I don't believe that. And one of the reasons why people don't believe it is because of things that happened to like the Dreamers, where they said, okay, we are gonna like give you citizenship, you're gonna be okay, you can work, if you were brought here and you're under a certain age, you don't have to worry about being deported. And then that all got turned around. Okay. W says, oh, lazy video game adults are playing Grand Theft Auto all day and shouldn't be on Medicaid. Yeah, for sure. But like I also there's no way those people are there's got to be something wrong, right? Okay. The issue with work requirements for me is that it'll be hard to measure all this and it can be an issue. Yeah, that's true. Like especially if you are self-employed, it's going to be hard. You play video games for fun. Yeah, I do too. I actually just I bought an exercise video game. Because I need to exercise. But I played a little Mario Kart. I played Animal Crossing for a little while. I played Pokemon Go. I was probably played Pokemon Go way too much. But guess what? I still went to work. So, and I think that like I can imagine actually staying at home and just playing video games all day. And the only way that I can see somebody would do that is if they were actually like depressed, right? Really debilitatingly depressed and they might not even realize it. That's what I tend to think. I don't know. Okay. Um, Also, Cindy, you used an interesting word, right? Well, it's not an interesting word, but you said addicted to video games. So I also think that there's an element where at what point do we actually say that that's an addiction? And like, and I'm not saying like, oh, like let's just say I'm addicted to video games and then I can just sit at home in my parents' basement and play them all day. But I do think that there's something in that word addiction that means that something is, like, not right upstairs, right? That they could use some external help probably to make things better. Alright. Okay. Steve, this is a deep issue, and we've already been going for an hour and 15 minutes, and I wanna go get my free birthday stuff, so I'm gonna have to head out soon, and my coffee on Rocky, which again, thank you so, so much. Steve says, "Here in Wisconsin, the work requirement is 18 to 54. The change is 18 to 64. It's a small change. The state taxes insurers around 6%. The Fed pays 60%, Wisconsin 40%, and 6% tax will phase to 3.5%. I'll have to look that up. I am going to get ready to head out soon today. I'm also going to say this. You know how I was like, oh, I'm tired. I'm tired. Well, the interesting thing is, so I just turned 48 today, literally. Happy 48th birthday to me. The older I get, like my job is not hard per se. I'm on my feet a lot. Um, I'm having hand issues. I've been having them for quite a while. Ooh, I can't close that middle finger. Doesn't close properly. And when it does, it gets stuck. It's called trigger finger. Um, I'm gonna be having surgery on it. The work gets harder. It's harder to work even at 48. It is not the same as when I was in my 20s doing this job, being on my feet, talking with the public, working long days, sometimes working 12-hour days. So, maybe we need to lower retirement age, 54 to 64. I can't imagine if I'm this tired now at 48, how am I gonna feel at 54? So, maybe that's tricky. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I don't think, and I just want to clarify, I do not think that someone should just be like chilling, living the good life in their parents' basement playing video games all day and like also get the free health insurance. I do think that they should work, but I also think that they should actually, if they do have health insurance, they should use it and see like a mental health professional and try and see if there are underlying addiction and uh, instances, other underlying depression. Because I don't think and I think that they might not realize it, right? And then maybe the parents don't realize that, "Oh, they're happy playing video games." I no, go touch some grass. I think that probably they're in denial if they think that they're perfectly happy just sitting in a basement playing video games for the rest of their life. And I also think it's gonna bite them in the butt. Like, Cindy, I am curious, and I do think parents accidentally enable their children all the time, for sure. Are these parents so wealthy that their kid's gonna be okay after the parents pass away, right? Because the parents are gonna most likely pass away before the child. So, are the people that you're aware of that have kids like that, what happens to these kids when the parents aren't there to support them? Like, will they have are they gonna inherit the house? Is the house gonna be paid off? Um, yeah, I got questions. I have questions, right? Because the parents should be doing more to of these 30-year-old kids in the basement should be doing more to encourage them to get out and take care. Yeah. So there's gotta be like a mental health issue there. Maybe with the parents because like what happens and that's really sad. That is really sad. So maybe while they still have the health insurance, Rocky, I do want to try and answer your question about when the work requirements will go into effect. It looks like potentially up to 2 years for states to roll it out, but I may have misread that. So we'll try and clarify that before I head out today. Like, what a disservice to the kids. If you're 30, like, I'm sorry, right? No, maybe I shouldn't say that. But like most people even that come to the movie theater, they have some experience, and it's gonna hurt somebody if they don't have any work experience and then they try and like go get a job at like 34. Even like, oh, go work a minimum wage job. It would be, I would have to imagine that it would be a big red flag to an employer if you show up and you're like, "Hi guys, I'm 34. I've never worked before." I would be like, "Why?" "Oh, can you tell me why you don't have any jobs listed in your work history?" "I've never worked before." "Well, why is that?" "Oh, I was playing video games in my parents' basement till I was 34." Like that's alarming to me. That is alarming to me. And it's alarming. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Oof. But they're really setting their kids up for a hard time as they get older if they're not pushing them out. Like they're kids and I can't imagine like pushing them out, but like that's my mom was like, "When you're 18, you're gone or you're paying me rent." And I don't actually think that she's serious. But I left when I was 18. Um, I first lived with, he was like a gay guy, but he's like the gay guy that hired me at the company that I'm still at, and that's part of why I worked there. Like the girl was like, "The boss is cool." And so then I started working there too because the boss was cool. And then like as we got our own theaters and I wanted to live closer to work, he was like, "Well, you can like live with me." And I was like, "Absolutely." So I moved in with him. I lived with boyfriends, like I did what I was supposed to when I got out, and I can on like, I really, maybe it's just that I can't relate to a 30-year-old in the basement of their parents' house, like, oh, these kids, yeah, the parents need to, like, somehow, like, give an ultimatum, I think. Either the kid gets a job within 6 months or a year or whatever the time frame is, or they start seeing a mental health professional because, like, there has to be an addiction or, depression, or there has to be, like, I just, like, I don't really believe that somebody's happy like that. It's really hard for me. Or that, are they not aware of what's gonna happen when the parents pass away and they don't have somebody just, like, helping them? That's the part that worries me. Okay, you guys, we gotta get going. Lot to unpack next week. I'm gonna write this down. We're gonna look next week at Medicaid. Oh, Rocky. No, we're gonna look right now. When would the work requirements go into effect? Okay. When will the Medicaid? Oh my goodness. Okay, work. Okay, when will the Medicaid work requirements go into effect? AI. Do we want the AI one? Sure. Oh, interesting. Okay. This is the AI overview. Might not be right. Okay. Medicaid work requirements as part of the larger budget bill are set to take effect on December 31st, 2026. So not this year, not all of next year. According to a House bill, states will have the option to implement, they'll have the option to implement the requirements earlier. So in a state like California, they're probably not going to do it earlier. The requirements mandate that individuals aged 19 to 64 participating in Medicaid expansion must document 80 hours per month of work, community engagement, or school attendance. I think going to school for 80 hours a week and or school/volunteer opportunities would be like a great way to get the people out of the basement. Oops, it's my mom. Why didn't I do YouTube? I am doing YouTube. I'm doing YouTube right now. Um, Here's a more detailed breakdown. The requirements mandate that individuals aged 19 to 64 participate in Medicaid expansion. Anyway, so they could do school and volunteer. Certain groups, such as caregivers of young children, people with disabilities, and pregnant individuals, are exempt. December 31st, 2026. This is the deadline for states to have their systems in place to implement the work requirements. Compliance period. Individuals will have to demonstrate they are meeting the work, community engagement, or school requirements for a set period, likely 1 to 3 months, twice a year. Outreach and notification. States must begin notifying individuals about the new requirements at least 3 months before the start of the first compliance period. Implementation flexibility. States can choose to implement the requirements earlier than the December 2026 deadline. Potential delays. The Senate bill proposes that the states facing implementing challenges can request a delay until the end of 2028. So is this really going to go into effect, or is this just like a lot of hubbub? I bet a state like California will apply for the delay until the end of 2028. Legal challenges. Also, guys, if I ever did shift positions, I would love to like work somewhere where I could help people sign up for the benefits like the right way. Okay. Medicaid work legal challenges. Medicaid work requirements have faced legal challenges with past approvals by the Trump administration being overturned by the courts. The legal landscape could change again depending on the current administration's 2026 is the current requirement. Okay. Cindy said the problem is the parents and the child works them. Yeah, I bet. Have a piece of cake with coffee. I'm going to try to go to Nothing Bundt Cakes. I believe I get a free bundt cake for a buntlet for my birthday. Let me see. I'm going to open up that app and then I'm going to go to Starbucks and get my free Starbucks. And then I'm going to maybe go to Ulta Beauty, see what they'll give me for my birthday. Because I got my Sephora one already. Then YouTube gave me a free Chipotle voucher. Where's my little Nothing Bundt cake thing? Let's go to the search. Bundt. Oh, interesting. Did I not download that? What the heck? Where's the apps? I thought I had a little Nothing Bundt cake. Okay, let's check my email really quick. Also, Debbie, if you're still watching at the very, very end, #1 movie, Jurassic World Rebirth. Looks like a big, fun movie. Let me try my email. Nothing Bundt cakes. Yes. Cool. Yes. Happy birthday. Do I have to get it today? Your free buntlet is waiting. I've never had a Nothing Bundt cake, but guess what? It's free, so I want it. Birthdays are just better with Bundt cakes. Visit your local bakery and show this email to redeem your free buntlet for your birthday. See details below. Oh, here we go. Where is it? Details. Okay. Print or show this email on your mobile device to redeem your free birthday buntlet. Please note that blah, 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 blah. Limit 1 per guest. Valid at participating bakeries. Valid only through 7/17. So I do not need to. Oops, that's my weird email. That's my burner account email. I don't need to use this today. So yeah. I will see you guys later. Thank you so much for watching Shelly's Millions. There's a lot to unpack with Trump's big, beautiful bill. Leave any specific questions for next week in the comments down below. Let me know if you think your state will implement it earlier, if you think your state will ask for the extension till the end of 2028. Also, I do wish this. I wish that it was consistent between states. And that is one of the big things that people said with unemployment benefits. It's like, California probably will ask for an extension, probably just hoping that it'll go away, or with the next administration that they'll reverse it, blah, blah, blah. But it's the United States of America. And it's frustrating to, like, not know to not have it be standard across the United States of America, right? I don't know. This is again why I'm glad I'm not a politician. All right. I have to go enjoy my birthday now. We'll talk about it next week. Thanks so much for watching Shelly's Millions. I'll see you next time.